Hello, and welcome to another episode of Ask Adam. If you do not know, ASK is the acronym Always Seek Knowledge. That is much about what many of these episodes are about, is to help share with you and get you kind of investigating and figuring out for yourself a little bit of knowledge that applies to your life. Quite frankly, to get you thinking a little bit more. I'm hugely passionate on sharing with others how to find that nugget in your life. I've reached a certain point in my life where, well, let's just say I found my purpose. And I feel that my purpose is to share as much of the knowledge that I have acquired with others so that you can get excited about your life and begun much faster and much sooner than I have to do what really is your passion in life, much like I have myself. I have a little bit of energy about this matter, especially this week's subject. So forgive me if I seem a little too excited and a little outside of the room. This episode is being brought to you remotely again, second one this year. A little bit of a family event going on, but I also do not want to interrupt the great opportunity to continue to share what I have learned in this life with you. So, without further ado, let's get this show started. This week's episode is Rewriting Your Story, a New Narrative for Success. You know, the stories we tell ourselves kind of shape who we are and how we move through the world. These narratives can either help or empower us to reach our new heights. Let's go over a few of these things that not only, and I'll share much of my life or a good bit of my life, so I will pardon myself up front that I will interject quite often just to share with you my own life experiences because I do feel that they're relevant. First of all, recognize your current story. What are the limiting narratives that you're telling yourself? Are they based from childhood experiences or past failures? Maybe even the cultural expectations? You know, they always come from the stories, or what I should say, create the stories that we have pretty much in our head that are constantly repeating themselves to us and reminding us maybe where we should be or where we need to go. And many times, and quite most often, is the negative self-talk or self-doubt that usually stems from these earlier influences, and they just compound over time. The impact on your mindset as well as your behavior. You know, if you view yourself as not good enough or destined to fail, those beliefs become self-fulfilling, and they seem to, like I mentioned earlier, they keep compounding themselves. So if you look in the mirror and say, oh, I'm not good enough, or I can't do this, or honestly, even if you just look in the mirror and think that and don't say it, you are still telling yourself, as you're looking at yourself, you're you're telling your mind with your eyes this prophecy, right? Even though it's not an audible, your mind is still telling your thoughts and you're still seeing it in front of you as an image, right? So, first of all, let's recognize these patterns and then we can begin to step forward with actions of change. And then, so instead of saying, hey, I'm not good enough, you say, I'm going to be the best me I can be today. And repeat this every day in the morning. And while you're brushing your teeth in the evening, as you're finishing the day and you find yourself looking in the mirror again at yourself, don't say, boy, today was a tough day. I can't believe I got through it. Look in the mirror and say, I successfully got through this day. Now, did it hit you sideways? Probably did. Was it overwhelming? Most likely so. There's nothing easy about today's world to live in. So I completely understand. But these are the roots of where much of this can come from in your life is just doing these simple acts, both in the morning and the evening, even if you find yourself in the middle of the day. If you're at your office, if you're at home, wherever you're at. Hey, if you're sitting in traffic and pay attention to the road, but look in the mirror and say, you know what? I'm getting through today and I'm doing the best I can. Hey, I'm getting through today and I'm winning. Even if you're winning by a little bit, you're still winning. So Start to create that positive affirmation with yourself, at least in the morning and the evening, and anytime throughout the day that you find yourself confronting yourself in a mirror, or even just, sitting with yourself. Tell yourself, hey, you know what? I agree today's kind of tough, but I'm getting through it. That positive affirmation, believe it or not, will get you through so much more because you're now starting to plant those seeds of positivity and not being overwhelmed or not being negative, but actually being positive and being affirmative that things are going your way. You've heard me mention it before. I'm going to say it again. Life is happening for us, not to us. So don't get overwhelmed by the things that are happening around us because it's happening for your benefit. It's happening to share a lesson with you. It's happening to pivot you in a direction. It is happening to you to get you to make a change. The sooner that you realize it's time to make a change and the sooner you get into action with that change and start seeing it as a positive and not a negative, the lesson learned, you graduate, you move forward. It's as simple as that. And I'm sorry, I know it's when, look, I've been in so many trenches and have dug myself out with a toothpick, not a shovel, that I can tell you this is, although simple and silly, this is actually what will start to lay the bricks of that step of the stairs that will get you out of that hole. So let's move forward. Crafting your new narrative. Again, with these positive affirmations, first of all, define what it is that you want. Because if you don't like where you're at, where do you want to be? So define what it is your future is. Envision where you want to be. Envision who you want to be. Who are you as that person in the future? Whether it's a personal, how people view you, or it's professionally, how you're in business, how you're providing the clientele, who are you? And focus on the qualities and achievements and the values that resonate with your ideal self. Now, again, kind of fast tracking through this a little bit, but a little bit of the ingredients for this too is to be still with yourself, to meditate with yourself, to focus on what it is your true authentic self. I think I've mentioned it and I'll mention it again, is what is the thing that you do? Well, I feel like I repeat it several times with myself and my clients and everyone else. I'll share it again. What is it that you feel is your true passion? What is it? And if you can't answer that question, what is it that you can do every day? What is it that you get so involved in with yourself that time stands still? You forget about time. You forget about getting tired. What is it that you get so ingrained that you're grooving and people are amazed at how you have the energy and the time and everything? How is it that you do all of this? And you go, I don't know. I just love what I do. What is that? When you find out what that is, now you're working towards your ideal self. And if it's something like 180 degrees from what you're doing now, good news, bad news. Good news is you found your purpose. Bad news is you're going to do a 180-degree change. And let me tell you something. Not that the universe doesn't have your back, but when you do a 180-degree change and decide you're going to start following what your true path is, it's going to take a little minute for the universe to finally like pivot around and go, okay, they finally got it, because they're in your favor. They've been in your favor the entire time to provide to you all of the things that you need to do this. But because you kind of have been saying no and doing this and doing that and doing something that's not your true authentic self, the universe has kind of gone with that and has paved a road for you to go in that direction. Although there's always these little shortcuts to be like, hey, don't forget, here's your authentic self, make a left. Hey, your authentic self's over here, make a right. And you just keep, taking the same path because it's straight and it's easy. The day you decide to make that well, you got to cut a shortcut to get back over to the path where you truly belong. So it's going to be through the woods. It's going to be a little rocky. It's going to be a little rough, but understand and realize you're going towards your path. And when you start going onto your path, you realize that things become more in synchronicity, and that things are happening even more for you than against you. And you'll start to see that the puzzle pieces of life are coming together, because now you are basically doing what you were born to do. And you finally realize that. Little sidebar, don't feel bad if you're 30 years old and you finally go through this exercise and you figure out what your thing is. Don't feel bad if you're 40 or 50 or even 60. Find your true authentic self and move forward with that as soon as you can. And don't look back and ruminate about how you're late to the party and how you don't have enough time. Quite frankly, and quite honestly, the universe and the world knew you were going to be this delayed. It already knew. It was kind of what, and a whole nother training. Again, I'm just trying to scratch the surface with these episodes. The universe, that was all, it's part of your lesson. It's why you're here. So don't pat yourself on the back, smile and celebrate. Again, another one of my exercises, whole nother episode. Pat yourself on the back, smile and celebrate the fact that you even came to this realization at this point. And then move forward positively in celebration that you now have found your unique ideal self. And affirm and visualize once you've found this. Again, as you're celebrating, get up in the morning, say, I'm living my true authentic self. I'm doing whatever's in quotations. And I'm loving life and enjoying that I've now found my true purpose, which is in quotations. And quote this to yourself. Put it on a post-it, put it on your mirror, put it on your fridge, put it anywhere in the house that you have a couple of seconds where you stand and just do something to look, see, recite. Look, see, recite. Look, see, recite. This is the visual, the speech repetitive, and this will create that sensation within your soul, which is where it's kind of already there, but it's kind of like music. It needs to vibrate, and it needs to hear you say that I am my authentic self doing whatever it is. And that vibration of you saying it and you hearing it and you seeing the words starts to get this burning inside of your soul, in your spirit, which is your authentic self. It's that spark that creates that fire that gets you going again, that pretty soon every day is energetic. And pretty soon you don't need a piece of paper on the wall. You're saying it automatically. You're getting up in the morning going, I can't wait to get out of bed to go live my authentic self doing, in quotations. With these affirmations and your reflection, you're creating that new identity, that you are resourceful, that you are capable, that you are tackling all of these challenges that will come in front of you. Sidebar, especially those that you're running into while you're cutting through the woods to get back over to your authentic, unique path, which quite frankly was a couple paces back, was well apparent, and you were distracted with whatever. No judgment. I'm just sharing with you that I've been there, done that. So I sympathize with you and I applaud you for your realization today, because I, trust me, I've passed so many shortcuts that said, turn here, go there. What about this? Did you forget about that? And I was like, no, I'm busy trying to do something else. And I can tell you that I was very headstrong, not necessarily rejecting my authentic self, but I wasn't focused on being my authentic self. Let me explain the difference there. Is when you know what your authentic self is, now you're more driven to perform as your authentic self, right? So I wasn't quite driven to be my authentic self. If anything, I just kind of kept it in my back pocket, said, yeah, well, maybe another day, not now. I'll think about it later. And I won't even say procrastination, it just wasn't top of mind. And I certainly wasn't in solitude with myself to be even remotely listening to myself, to be receptive to myself sharing, hey, here's your authentic self turn here and follow your path, if you will. And I was more about, well, I want to do this or I want to do that. I want to try this career. I want to try that career, which kind of at the end of the day has given me so much of the experience I can share with you today with all the many facets of life that I've lived in half a century. But I'm a little off. I'm good with it. Don't get me wrong. I guess this is more of explanation for the episode. Is for a moment or for a little bit, there was some personal resentment towards myself because I knew there was something I should be doing, but I couldn't put my finger on it, but I also wasn't looking. Does that make sense? So, first of all, once you slow down, once you meditate, once you start understanding what is your authentic you, what is it that you do that no one else does and can do, and that others are basically telling you what your self is because they're celebrating that you do it with so much ease. And then it seems like it comes so easy to you. And it's also a joy to do. It's not work. It's a pleasure. You find fulfillment, just this natural love for this action. Once you find out what that is, and then you start to sort of see it and see that future self. And then you start like clay, you kind of mold it into, yeah, this is what I am. Oh, this is what I like to do. Oh, this is how I think. Oh, this is what I perceive in others, not judgment. This is what I perceive in others. So maybe you are a coach or a mentor. Maybe you see that you're a problem solver, for instance, and whether it's with people or with business or what. So maybe your life's dream is actually being a consultant, not being an accountant. And again, sorry to make a left turn on your career, but you may find that solving problems physically with people and changing things on the floor versus just juggling numbers on a spreadsheet is far more enjoyable. And you have all the hours in the day and all the energy in the world, and you love to communicate with people and see the results and all that. Man, I'm sorry to burst your bubble and sort of blow up that college degree you got hanging on the wall, but you kind of skipped what your authentic self is. And like me, pat yourself on the other shoulder with a little bit of forgiveness and say, that's okay. At least you were aware. Pat yourself on the other shoulder and celebrate that you have found this new awareness and begin to move forward with your authentic self. Again, sorry to go on a left turn with that here today, but man, I just feel like this is really relevant information. I think we're yeah. I guess I'm always I'm always amazed that these topics, although I don't want to say random, they they seem relevant for the time, which is why again I can only express that I'm here to just to be the messenger and share this information and to let any one of you out there know that there's a level of hope and that there's a level of understanding and there's a level of celebrating and a small level of sorrow just to be like, yeah, kind of messed up on that. That's cool. You can experience that for I give you 2 seconds, but then go to celebrate and move forward. Fair enough? Great. So affirm and visualize what it is that your authentic self is. So you start creating some of these affirmations, right? And practice visualizing yourself excelling in this particular scenario, right? And enforcing that belief of the success that you see yourself doing in this newfound identity that you see yourself in, this passion. You know, kind of coming through this, I found myself waking up in the morning doing what I do. Now, I wasn't there yet, but I would wake up, open my eyes, or even kind of like, you know how you half close, half open your eyes. You kind of know the daylight's out there, but you're still kind of relaxing in bed and your eyes are about half closed. And I would just lay there for about 15 minutes after the alarm woke me up, or I was waiting for the alarm to wake me up. It's weird. I wake up peacefully I don't jolt. I have very soothing music that wakes me up, and it's just like everything is in synchronicity. It's a magical moment, and I find myself for about 15 minutes, especially here in the northern hemisphere. It's a little chilly where I'm located, so it's kind of cool, and the bed is really warm and comfy. But I will find myself for about 15 minutes, just close my eyes and see my future self and see myself doing that future thing. I see myself, if you're a consultant, reciting that review of a company. See yourself presenting to the executives what you found on the floor. Maybe it's fictitious, but it's the exercise of you doing something that you're going to do. And once you, again, it doesn't even have to be physically in front of you, but it's in your mind, and your mind basically is your eyes, that your mind sees you doing it. Therefore, your mind already sees that it's done. Therefore, it already puts you into that place. So even though you're kind of going through the steps of your daily whatever it is right now, because remember, this is newfound excitement, newfound joy, newfound all of it, that you see yourself doing that. And if you start your day seeing yourself doing that next level thing, and do this every day, and before you go to bed, how would you go to bed after doing something like that? Do you see yourself like envisioning yourself post presentation, post day's events? Hey, I consulted with the company. Again, kind of close your eyes, little meditation, just laying down as you're going to sleep. It's there's all sorts of chemicals going on. Your body is, getting ready to sleep, right? But it's also it's in record mode, even though it's sort of defragging and rebooting. And again, a whole nother episode, we're going to get into that later. But your body's going through these events before you actually fall asleep. See yourself in that post event. See yourself in that post day of events. Hey, I consulted with some executives and we talked about this. And before that, I had a really great speech. And here was the things that I feel that I did in that speech and things I didn't do in that speech. And oh, I forgot this. You're playing the part, right? And you're sharing with your mind that you're playing that part and you're in that action. That is affirmation and visualization, right? And that is developing this new identity. And that, quite frankly, remember the shortcut I described where it's going to be a little bumpy? You're going through the woods, you really don't have much but a compass to maybe give you some direction. And even that's kind of vague because it's a diagonal road to get back to your purpose. These affirmations and visualizations are going to help as sort of guardrails to keep you on at least what doesn't really look like a path through the woods, this shortcut. It's going to help keep you focused. It's going to help, dare I say, distracted, to at least stay in the straight line and not get too worried or concerned or confused that, oh, maybe I should go this way. It looks quicker. Just once you're in a straight line, stay on that straight line. That shortcut will get you to your destination because you've made your left or right turn from your old path to go to your new path. Whether it's left or right, doesn't matter. But you make that little bit of a degree change, it's going to send you to the direction of that other parallel path. Does that make sense? I'm gonna have to work on some graphics with these because I feel like so much of what I discuss is visual. So bear with me. But again, the affirmations and the visualization is going to help keep you on track because you're not really going to see a path, but it's going to at least keep you going straight because you're not going to be distracted to, oh, there's a tree or a butterfly or a shiny thing or something. It's just going to keep you focused. So some post-its on the wall, visualization in the morning of your activity, some affirmation and visualization before you go to bed. All of this is setting those seeds of success for your future self to be doing that which is your true identity, right? Turning your words into action. Some of this you're already doing this with your affirmations, but you also want to start setting specific goals. right? So if let's just stay on the example of consulting, right? So if you're in the consulting business, what is a goal? Say, let's just start short term with a goal for this new you being a consultant. Okay. So let's say you want to have 6 clients in the next year that you're consulting as this new you, as this new identity that you're already seeing yourself doing. And you're lining yourself up with, again, a short term goal of 6 clients. Okay. Now you want to break down some of the actionable steps of how you're going to acquire those 6. Now, I'm going to assume that you're probably already in the business world. Again, back to my earlier analogy of an accountant that decides you want to be a consultant because you know that you see things and you're more of an on the floor person that strategizes and moves things versus being a digital person in the accounting world where you're just kind of factoring numbers and adjusting things and categorizing things in the digital aspect. You're more of a floor person where it's like, hey, if we streamline this and create a flow here and change this person's position or adjust this task to that task, and it creates, again, now you're more in the physical world, but set yourself up with this goal of, okay, I want 6 clients, and then start looking at those business, line up your business with how you're going to get those 6 clients. Is it in the business you're already in? Right. So if you're an accountant with, say, a retail company, a supply chain company, and you're like, okay, how do I get into their continuous improvement department? So maybe you want to look on the HR list and see what positions are available for continuous improvement team member, manager, or associate. Maybe you just want to like what is the bat suits that people have where they jump off a cliff and they just sort of like, yeah, they kind of like wing out, right, with the whatever it is. It's crazy, but maybe you want to do that. That's the only picture I can think of. Graphics would be nice. I apologize if you're listening. It's great you're picturing the visual, but if you're just going to jump off the cliff and say, hey, here's my chute, I'm going to do it this way, and maybe you just want to start your own consulting business. First thing you want to do is maybe start networking with the Rotarian Club or, the B2B groups that meet during lunchtime or midday or something in your town and in your city, and start networking with those folks to say, hey, how can I help you strategize your business a little better? Do you have time to really look at your business? Let me, stop by for a day and kind of walk through, and maybe I could help see that you either need a little adjustment or maybe you don't need one at all. And I can commend you for what you already have. Again, any experience is still an experience, and it's positive experience. Also, don't be afraid and kind of get out there to maybe start out a little bit on the pro bono side of things where hey, just let me check things out. If all is good, I'm going to pat you on the back and say, well, well done, your company's doing great. But it would kind of give me a little bit of that experience to help see if there is maybe some things that could stand to be adjusted just slightly to help improve your company. Would that be bad? And if it does improve your company and we do find some gaps where things can be tightened up, and it actually helps make you money, what are you losing? Well, I don't know any business owner that's going to say, well, I'm not going to lose anything. And in fact, I'll probably take you out to lunch if we do shore up some of those gaps and tighten some things up. And I may even give you just like a little bonus just to say, hey, thanks for tightening things up and making me aware of this. Right. And so you kind of got a little bit of compensation that really wasn't contracted, but start out a little bit on the free note, if you will, and get that exposure. And once you've done that and you've experienced it, now not only have you seen it, visualized it, acted out, now you're physically doing it. Well, I gonna go off on a limb and tell you you're a professional and you're certified at that point. So now go out and take that get a review from that client or friend that you just worked with, and take that and start running with it. And now you not only have the confidence of bringing success to one business, but now you can advertise that and share that and market that, that, hey, I helped so and so with this. And if they're not already telling their friends in business about what you've done, and now your calendar's getting filled up. And now you're out socially, as well as still going to these meetings and networking with people to say, hey, here's what I do, and begin starting to create that clientele. Because a lot of that consulting is word of mouth, where if you've shared and saved someone something in their business, whether it was time or money, they're going to sing your praises all day long. And now you're in business and you're rolling. And right back to what I originally stated is now you're doing, again, something that you love, something where time stands still, something that you're getting compensated for. And you're probably going to add 10 years to your life because you're doing something that you love, not doing something that's stressful. Now, no guarantees on that, but you know what I'm saying. You're certainly going to live much happier, and I hope much longer. Whole nother episode that we can get into, but much of also part of this is your health. But you already know that from me is, juices in the morning. I like a good celery juice, keep your vitamins, stay active. Again, if you're going to be working 18 hours doing something you love a day, you got to be healthy, and it's not going to be McDonald's and pizza and soda pop and sitting on the couch watching TV on any streaming service of your choice. It's going to be you out doing the grind. And this 18-hour grind per day or 20-hour grind per day with a little bit of sleep and then getting back to the grind, some of this getting started isn't easy, and you need to be in shape for that. And again, I'm jumping into a completely other podcast, but you know what I'm saying is you need to be healthy and ready, because this activity, once you're living your dream, guess what? Universe is going to throw it at you, and it's going to happen, and things are just going to, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I'm doing this and I'm doing it magnificently, and it's just like I'm getting more clients and my calendar's full, and this is absolutely what I dreamed of. So again, pat yourself on the back, even though you're slightly overwhelmed at that moment, that you're getting what you wanted. And this is what you looked in the mirror yesterday and said, this is what I want. This is what I can be. And now it's you being that, and it's happening. So pat yourself on the back and smile and congratulate yourself that you're doing it. And you're doing it remarkably. And everything that the universe and the world is throwing that you said you wanted, you're taking it with a smile. Because remember, you asked for this. And it's going to give you more than you asked for. And you have to smile, and you can't. I guess here's another caveat, a whole nother show. But remember, don't find yourself overwhelmed where you say, oh, this is too much. I don't want anymore. Because now, just like the affirmations of this is what I want and this is what I see myself doing, as soon as you utter, I don't want any more, you're starting to affirm that you've had enough and you're tired. And I guess it's kind of like a river. It's either going to flow and trickle down through the canyons and down to the big rivers, or it's not. So you need to be okay with it flowing, and however it's flowing, you need to be able to sort of ride those waves. And or it's going to dry up and you're sitting on the rock. So which one do you want? You can't say, hey, I'm tired of riding this wave. I want to sit on a rock now, because you might sit on a rock for a while and the waves never come. So again, this is what you wanted. This is your life. The universe is giving it to you, and you will then, I guess, yeah, you'll find that there's just not enough time in the day to get all of these things done that you want to do, because there's so much passion. Again, getting in, I think it was the last episode that talked about business, is now you might find yourself getting a little diverse, where it's not necessarily you doing the consulting, you start hiring others. Again, a whole other episode of, as this thing is growing with you, pretty soon there's so much happening and so much coming your way. Don't try to do it all yourself. As I mentioned in that other episode, you need to start designating and delegating some of these activities. whether it's the actual consulting itself, whether it's setting up appointments, maybe it's a pre-appointment, maybe it's have someone, create a team member or a staff that's going to go out and actually do the pre-appointment, see if it's even a client who's worthy of your time. Not to say that nobody is worthy at all, but they may not be ready for what you're going to throw at them. So it may be where you start to find in your business where you send a consultant out to sort of do the assessment and say, well, they kind of need about 6 months to shore this, and this, just the basics. Because when you come in, you're going to flip everything upside down, and they need to be prepared for that, not overwhelmed by, oh, we still need to implement these small steps. And then now you want us to flip the world upside down because you're amazing at what you do. So again, designate and delegate. And don't think that you have to do it all yourself, because again, there's 24 hours in a day. We all have it. But those who are most successful and living out their dreams and doing all of this, still enjoying it, is because they started to learn what their gift was and what they're good at, and then letting others who have their gifts and what they're good at handle the rest. Fair enough? So part of that designate and delegate is you want to surround yourself with those reinforcements, right? So you have that person going out and do the pre-appointment, and they're coming back and they're getting you all jazzed up because they're like, hey, there's a client who's ready, or hey, I set them up with a few things and they'll be ready in a month, or they'll be ready in 6 months. And now you're starting to fill your calendar with clientele that is ready, willing, and able for you to come in and make these wonderful changes to make their life better, and you come out the hero. I mean, I'm not even doing that deal, and I'm kind of excited for you. So whatever it is, the consulting thing just kind of stuck in my mind today. So we're hanging our hook on that. But it's this, you could apply this to anything, I guess, is what I want to share with you in general, is that all of these aspects are in general. You want to have a supportive community, not only with your team members that are help facilitating through your designation and delegation, but you also want to sort of share this rewritten story of you, right? So all professionals have a mentor of some kind. If you ask them, it may be the guy they play golf with, or the gal they play golf with, or somebody they have lunch with once a week, once a month, somebody they meet in a specific remote location every quarter, whatever it is. They have a mentor, a coach, some accountability partner, maybe somebody you even call up. I mean, even even Warren Buffett, right? The so-called rich guy, the Oracle of Omaha, they call him. He even has a mentor, and you're like, well, what does he need a mentor for? Well, he needs somebody to consult with, somebody to sort of bounce ideas off of, somebody to say, hey, I was having that delicious steak dinner at the that famous, well, it's famous now because he goes there, but I was having, my steak dinner the other night down at the restaurant there in Omaha, and I was thinking about this. He's running that by someone else just to get their ideas, to say, yeah, that makes sense, or yeah, give it a try, or yeah, that's kind of weird. Was there, what were you thinking? Everybody needs to have that advocate and defender and rational person in their life that they sort of bounce off. It could be your best friend. It could be someone that you hire. It could be somebody that you've just acquired where you're sharing new ideas with each other. And the compensation is the time and energy you. I have several friends that I consult with, and it's kind of a pro bono thing because we both get something from the conversation. So you want to have that supportive community to help encourage and give you feedback that helps you in moving forward and helps you making those decisions. You may, going back, you may struggle with saying, hey, I really am getting overwhelmed with this marketing thing in my business, and I really think I need to hire a marketing person, but I can't decide because it's kind of money over matter. And I enjoy kind of doing it, but it's getting overwhelming. And they're going to say, well, what does it cost? Okay, so it's the price of dinner a week or a month for your marketing thing. What would you rather do? Sit here and enjoy a nice dinner for the cost of this nice dinner, and somebody takes care of your marketing, or get a discount meal and not pay for marketing? Which one do you want? And so they put things in perspective, right? And that's what you want. And it may be one, it may be many. You don't want too many, but you certainly want people who are on your side, who are advocating for the success of your business. Let me share that is most important, because you may have somebody, they may be a dear friend of yours, right? Nothing against friends, but you may have a dear friend of yours that you're sharing much of this information with, that they may become envious of what it is you're doing, in which case they're helping you a little bit, but they're also creating some of those negative thoughts where they're envious about what you're doing, and they're a little resentful that you're having this success, and they don't like sitting down having lunch every time you got to tell them what great things you're doing, and their life is ho hum. Nothing against your friends and their ho hum life, but you need that positive reinforcement. You need that advocate. So be very selective to the person you're going to pick, or group of people that you're going to pick to be your mentor and your advocate, your accountability partner, to be honest with you, to share valid information, and to always be your coach, your positive reinforcement, and not always, just, I don't know about you. I had a couple lunches with some people, and I kind of had to, it was a tough relationship to end, but I had to do it because every time we sat down, it was just like their business was falling apart and they were very negative. And I kept sharing with them some of the options that would make their world better. And I was looking for that feedback from them, and I just wasn't getting it. And finally I was like, hey, we can't keep doing this. Um, and I wished them the best of luck with their business, and I found someone else. And keep in mind, I don't I don't necessarily want to say it's a friend, because a lot of times your mentor, coach, and accountability partner, as you grow, they are going to grow. I think I mentioned that in several other episodes, was as you grow, they're going to grow. And so you may have to level up your mentor a little bit. And anytime, a little secret nugget of success I will share with you. So get your pen out. What we invite is write this down. Your accountability partner, or the mentors in your room, need to be better than you. And now you just wrote that down and probably dropped your pen. Let me explain. Those people need to be better than you so that you are striving to be where they're at. Because, no offense to anybody, but if you are the smartest person in the room, they are learning from you, you're not learning from them. Now, you can keep coming to my episodes and continue to learn, and I appreciate that. Click like or subscribe. But I also understand that you may get to a point in your life where you're going to kind of outgrow these episodes and say, yeah, I'm not at the Ask Adam level. I'm kicking it up a notch. And more power to you. That's if if I am a stepping stool in your success, in your business, I got you from the couch to the executive suite in the tallest building in your town, then I was happy to be that first step, that second step, the fifth step, whatever. I'm blessed to just be a step in your life. I'd, share with me and let me know which step I was. I certainly would like to know that this is helpful to someone out there besides those individuals that I speak to directly, who I know who they are. I don't know necessarily all the people that are listening or watching these episodes, but if it's if it's helped you somewhere, I guess I'd like to know, just to know that I've helped to participate. Right? Click like or subscribe. So having that group of people that you're always kind of achieving towards them, and you're learning from them. You're looking up to them. Did you write that down? Looking up, learning from, seeking to be like. Those are the things, those are your mentors and your advocate. Now you can still have that running buddy that's kind of running with you. That's kind of like, a little tit for tat, where you're just kind of like, oh, they're a little successful, and then you catch up to them, and that's a running buddy. But when you get to the room where your mentors are no longer like sort of pumping you up and giving you this valid information, and they're not doing this, you may exceed to the point where they're still here. You need to find that group that again is up here so that you're seeking them. You need to always be leveling up in your mind. You need to be leveling up. So remember that as you start to feel that success and you're like, uh-oh, feeling a little stagnant here in the meeting, and maybe give them a minute to catch up, but be cognizant to pay attention and go, yeah, they're not leveling up. They're kind of hanging out down here. I need to step away. I need to find someone else, right? Don't be afraid to do that. And if you do it with me, I don't feel bad. I understand. It's completely what this is all about. And fill your environment, right? Physically and digitally, with all these reminders of your goals and your progress, both with your mentor group, maybe put a chart, maybe your post-its instead of affirmations, just saying, hey, here's the goal I'm going to reach, whether it's, 6 sales, 12 sales, 24 clients a year, that's 2 a month, or however you want to do it. Kind of have those things in front of you so you constantly are seeing both the goal that you want and maybe even the progress that you're after or that you're succeeding in. So as maybe the first couple months of the year, because individuals are kind of aggressive to get their business and financial world back in order after the tumultuous last year that didn't go so well for them, and they're anxious to get somebody. You may have all your clients in the first quarter, right? And so, yeah, you can check the box that you made your goal, but, and this was, I think, in the other business lesson, is now if you reached your goal in the first quarter, what does that mean? It's an easy one. It means your goal was too low. You set the bar so low for yourself. So now the easy one is just double it. So say you wanted, what was it, 6 clients this year, and you get them in the first quarter. Well, you got to automatically double it. Say, all right, I want 12 clients. And, a little secret here, just from my experience in diverse businesses that I've been in, is don't let that first quarter be your rule, because you may spend the next 3 quarters of that year fighting for those 6. And I don't mean to say that there's a struggle ahead. It's just letting you know that's kind of the nature of your business, is that once everybody kind of gets the mindset for the first of the year, well, now you're trying to find other individuals who maybe didn't put as much thought into the beginning of the year, or now you're acquiring those clients where their physical year is in the middle of their financial year is in the middle of a physical year, right? And so they've had a pretty bad financial year as of July 1st, and now they invite you to come in and say, hey, we need to make our next year better. Those are the clients you're acquiring. So it's now sharing with you and understanding that your particular business actually has a season. How about that? Pat yourself on the back, smile, and celebrate. You learned something about your business. I'm not saying it does. I'm just saying you're gonna pick up those little nuances of your business that you're in, and these things about this thing that you're doing, and you got to write that down and know that, hey, I really need to go full force and make sure I have those 6, 12, or 24 clients in the first quarter, because the rest of the year is sort of standing still, or just some residual or some follow-up, or you know what I mean? So remember that you're getting started. So as you're learning some of these things, celebrate, pat yourself on the back, and smile that you're learning it. Write it down so you remember. Keep a little calendar that says, hey, these particular months were not so active, or everybody seemed to wait until this particular time of the year, and everyone was more active at this time of year. And that will also help you maybe focus your marketing towards or even just to know when to schedule yourself. I know it's a whole nother episode as well. We get into some of our facets of business, but if your business is seasonal, you need to know when it's time to take a break. And I know in one of my particular businesses, for instance, in real estate, I pretty much knew that unless somebody was going to put a bow on a house and stuff it under a Christmas tree, not too many people were buying and selling houses around the holidays. So between Thanksgiving and New Year's, not a lot was happening unless you had that one client, and I always I've had them, so I know you had that one client that said, I got to get rid of some money before the end of the year. I need to buy a house. I need to buy an investment property. I need to do something before the end of the year. Can you make it happen in a month? Well, we made it happen. But again, I realized that there was a seasonal activity. So I would dip out. I'd plan my vacations, my downtime, my reset time, my marketing time, my analyzing last year's business time was during those slow times, knowing I had to gear up and be ready because there was other facets of, for instance, the real estate business that come January 1st, man, the gates were down and the horses were running because we were we were going for gold. It was happening. So understand the seasons of your business and don't beat yourself up that you didn't know automatically because sometimes seasons change. And that's part of networking and learning from others that are kind of in that business. So start to network and reach out to those people that are doing what it is you want to do as well, right? And they'll share with you some of that stuff. And again, it's not competition. You're just like, hey, if they told you when the slow season was, doesn't mean you're going to go beat them in the slow time, although you might, just because they're going to go relax and you're going to go work real hard, knowing that it's slow and that everybody else is maybe resting because they know the season. Again, that was another little tip of success in the beginning is knowing those seasons and being available when somebody kind of got caught off season, but still needs someone that offers what you offer to help them out. So again, understand your seasons, understand your business, network with some mentors that can kind of help share and guide with you, as well as keep you challenged. Like I said, you get those 6 clients, you're going to need a mentor and a running buddy that's going to keep you motivated the next 2 quarters to say get 6. And then now you're up to 12 for the year, and you got one more quarter left for the year. And they're going to say, hey, I bet you can get 6 more. Well, then now you've got what we call a track record. And you take that information and say, okay, so I got 6, 6, and 6. I got 18 clients last year. Was it hard? Maybe a little bit. It was kind of like you were navigating the seasons of the business and figuring things out, so it wasn't consistent. But now, what's the goal that you're going to put before yourself for the next year? Okay, just off the cuff, and I'll be easy, right? We're still learning, small steps. 24. So make a goal for yourself. I'm going to have 24 clients. And again, knowing the seasons and knowing that in the first quarter, when this particular business, for instance, just goes crazy in quarter one, well, at this point, plus a little bit of your networking and your client-based referrals, and again, all of that stuff, you got yourself 12, 13, 15 already in the first quarter. Well, now you got half this thing, if not a little over half, 5/8 of it already tackled, right? From your 24 goal. So see how this is, but again, you're starting that year with the mindset of this is what I'm going to do. And I think much of that, yeah, when I was in real estate, I put a goal in front of how many I was going to sell. I always exceeded it. I always exceeded my uh, gross sales volume dollar. I would put that, a number of transactions. Um, yeah, I was always kicking it up a notch. And again, just kind of going into that year, I never thought any other way but that way. I always thought forward, not backwards, never worried about how it was going to happen. And guess what? It happened. So there's something to be said for putting goals in front of you. Now, if you're just starting out and you put 24 and you only got 12, Well, okay, now you know how to adjust down, right? And or maybe you've learned the season and you've learned some strategies where now, okay, that 24 is more obtainable, even though you only got 12 for the year, but now you understand how to get 24. Just set that as the next year's goal. Okay, first year was 24, I came in at 12. So now that I know I can make 12, I can certainly double that. Now I can do 24. Now, once you've exceeded 24, level your goal up again to keep leveling up and leveling up. And again, the more you level up, the more you also start to designate and delegate, right? So don't be afraid to set those goals. You're going to achieve them not only because they're in your mind and it's in your daily practice to reach that goal, it's going to happen. It just is. You're not going to let yourself down. I promise you. You will not let yourself down. Also, put up a vision board of what that success looks like. Put some inspiring quotes of people that you've read about um, that have done successful things. Whatever can motivate you, put that up there. Create that social following where people are, maybe you're sharing with people your consulting services and hey, obviously there's some privacy, but you say, hey, I help this company change the way their trajectory is going for the next year. And they're now looking to expand. I mean, you don't, I guess certain privacy, you probably can't disclose who the company is, but you can certainly disclose the activities that you're doing, minus any proprietary confidential information of your client, some vague percentages, some, hey, I just helped them adjust their marketing where they're now pivoting in a new direction and company A is doing this. Well, that's proof of your success, not necessarily company A. So you don't necessarily have to disclose the name brand and obviously release any kind of trade secrets or something off the wall, but certainly just the buzz of, hey, great success. I'm in the first quarter. I got my 12 clients and looking forward to helping more people. Again, that's how you develop your goals or you build on your goals. So that 12 turns into 24 within the years because you've shared with others, hey, this is what I've been doing in the first 3 months and crazy success with it. Who can I help? Boom. Now you're moving forward, right? So all of these things is helping to create your environment, your designed environment for this success, right? Remember, first step is stay focused on what you're doing, see yourself doing it. That's on the shortcut. That's cutting through the woods. Now that you're on your path, you want to set up the design and your environment and your vision boards and what you see and your goals are in front of you and what you're achieving. Because now you're on your path of your true authentic self of what you are supposed to be doing, what you are genuinely built and designed for. Your creativity is meant for this particular event. You also, again, that was pre-training. We're going to continue this training is you got to have some guardrails because you also can get distracted on your path where somebody says, hey, how about this? Hey, how about that? And if you're not knowing your why, if you're not focused on your goals, if you're not living knowing that you're living your true life and what you're supposed to be doing and growing with that, it's easy to get distracted for someone to say, oh, hey, shiny object over here. What about this? And now you'll find yourself in the woods on a path. I say that because I've been in the woods several directions and on several paths, and it took a lot of resilience and headstrong and figuring out what it is I wanted while roaming through the woods to get back on that true path. So I've done it several times. I'm trying to save you the time, energy, and distance that it takes to be off of your path and to get you directly onto it and then focused on it. Now, unless you have this crazy epiphany that your path now needs to make another left turn, well, that being said, two factors. One, I will agree that it is possible that you can have more than one path in life. Rare, but possible. Second thing is the path that you're on truly the path you're supposed to be on? Like, did it really resonate true, or it was just a neat new idea that you pivoted a little bit because you were like, yeah, I didn't like what I was doing, but I like this better? Was it your true authentic self path? Because that's possible too. Nothing wrong with that. I'm just going to forewarn you that that may be another trip in the woods. Set the blinders, put some goals, and keep going. Good news is, because you've done it before, you kind of know the pain ahead of yourself, so you're more likely to stay more focused and get through that path. And it's going to be a short event. And now you're truly at your authentic path. But again, so much of the what I want to share with you is to eliminate having missed your path, is truly understand what is it that is uniquely you, what is it you love, what is it that you can do where time stands still, and then how does that lay in the bed of your why? Because remember, why is your biggest reason for anything. So once you sort of set that foundation of why, right, you can put any kind of sheets over that bed of why to make it comfy, cozy, warmer in the winter, cooler in the summer, whatever. But the mattress, if you will, of this bed you're lying in is your why. That's your ultimate comfort. The rest of it is window dressing and comfort, color, fashion statements, whatever. Know your why, and everything else will fall into that place and will set you into that knowing what it is. So know your why, just dial back a little bit, know your why. And if you start to feel like, okay, this is my true authentic self, but if it doesn't align with your why, it's not your true authentic self, right? And so that's, I guess, kind of the judgment I want you to understand at that first decision is you understand your why. And if that first thing doesn't align with your why, then it's not quite you. Keep looking for it and then eventually find that thing that's your why. Then take the shortcut through the woods and find your authentic self on your unique path. Does that make sense? Okay. And as I always say, celebrate your progress. Part of this is your sustainability. Again, if you set a goal for 24 and you only do 12, pat yourself on the back and celebrate you did 12. You didn't do one, you didn't do zero, you did 12. And you were halfway to your goal. So celebrate that that activity got you halfway there. You wrote some things down, you learned some lessons, you understood seasons and processes and stuff. Maybe you realized you needed to adjust your marketing or have a season for marketing, or maybe you you remember through your notes that maybe you should have you know spent a little extra money and did this where you didn't think it was going to work. Might have been what it was that got you to the 24 for that year. So like I said, keep notes and kind of go back to them and realize maybe there was something that was skipped, and now you know, okay, I probably shouldn't have skipped that. I'm going to implement it this next year to get to my 24, right? So celebrate your progress and acknowledge each milestone that was hit. Again, be so excited that you hit 12 and not 24 because you're going to hit the 24 next year. Like I said, just repeat your goal and keep it in front of you because you were already halfway there, right? And then once you've exceeded your goal, now you know it's time to step it up. Remember, just like mentors, you always want to you always want to be looking up. You always kind of want to be chasing that more knowledgeable person in your life. You want to be chasing that higher goal. Don't just say I'm going to keep doing 24 because honestly you're going to get kind of bored with doing 24. And then you'll find yourself doing 20 and not really being too excited about the 24 just because it's the same number every year. You always want to keep growing, keep growing, right? So the regular celebrations reinforce that this new narrative that you're doing, right, is real, and that it's achievable, and pat yourself on the back and celebrate even the little wins. Because let me t- well, we're here now, but let me take you back because I know you're already excited and you're in the mindset of doing what you're going to be doing. But let me just dial it back a minute, is that you were once in a position where you weren't doing this and you most likely weren't happy. But now that you found what your joy in life is, your joie de vivre, as the French say, and you found your why, and you're just going with passion, and you're hitting your goals and getting close to them and just doing all this stuff, realize you're nowhere near where you used to be, and be grateful that you're nowhere where you used to be, and all of the things that you wanted to occur are now occurring and that they're happening. Celebrate with yourself, pat yourself on the back, smile, jump up and down, say you're awesome, you're great, you're magnificent, you're doing this, keep going, you got this. If you have a team, celebrate with them. Throw a little throw a little coin and have a lunch. Take your team out to lunch or have it catered or whatever, and say, hey, we did this. Remind them that they are part of something great and that they are growing. And it's that kind of energy that keeps people burning that proverbial midnight oil when things get tough. When it's that, hey, I got one more prospect. Can you reach out to somebody to do a pre? And they're like, well, it's really late tonight. It's that extra energy, the passion that you have is going to trickle down to them or over to them. They're going to have the same excitement you do, and they're going to do that pre-interview for you, and they're going to help you out. It's not just because you bought them lunch, it's because you're resonating and celebrating with them the excitement and the achievement of this thing called your goal and your passion, right? So you got to celebrate, and you got to hit those wins every time and be grateful for those wins. Don't forget to be grateful. Again, that was another episode, was the 3 things to be grateful. This I don't want you to be redundant, but when you're doing your 3 things to be grateful every day, I would say at least one of them should be relevant to this business that you're in. At least one. One to your business, one to something around you, the university environment, and something about yourself. That's kind of the 3 easy grateful things I do for myself is my business. Now, sometimes I'm selfish and they're all about what I personally am grateful for. But I mean, if you're having trouble with 3 things to be grateful, one is your business, and one is the things around you, the universe, nature. It snowed today. It was beautiful. I'm happy that it's cold. I'm happy that it's hot. Whatever it is, the things happening around you beyond your control, be happy for whatever that is every day. And then for a personal you, did you meet a goal? Did you wake up happy again? Are you happy for the little things that you personally have in your life? I mean, honestly, sometimes I put coffee. I'm crazy happy for a little sip of coffee sometimes, and just it's like the greatest thing. I'm grateful for that. So keep your business in your gratitude, your 3 grateful things each day in your gratitude journal, and stay adaptable. Don't, like I said, don't get hung up on keep doing 24 every year for your goal, because your story is going to evolve. And as you learn these lessons and as you continue to face sort of these fresh challenges, and you combat them, and then you find some new challenges and you combat those, and you're delegating and designating, and your business and personal life is just growing, and you have all of this growth and excitement around you. Don't get too hung up to say, okay, now I just want to stay here in this little growth mindset. Because I mean, I think a good analogy is when you plant a tree, right? It starts to grow. And because you've watered it and you maybe fed it something, or even just watered it, even if you just let it alone and let nature do its thing, but because you planted the tree, such as your business, such as this thing called you, it's going to start growing, because that's biology 101, is that nature knows what to do and it keeps growing. So that being said, you start with a tree in the ground and you get this idea that you really don't want to see the tree every day. So you take a 5 gallon plastic pail, that the paint and stuff comes in, and you take that pail upside down and you put it over this little tree. You Is that little pail going to stop the tree from growing? No. I mean, you're not going to see it for a minute for sure, and it's probably going to be slightly detrimental to its, photosynthesis and whatnot. But those first stages of growth, just like your business, are subliminal. It's the roots, right? It's the subsurface things that are happening. It's the energy. It's in your mind. It's all this stuff going on. So it really doesn't. It's not even the environment per se. It's all this internal energy and stuff that's making that tree grow, and it's getting the roots into the ground, and it's starting to dig in, and all of a sudden it's just going to supersede and pop that bucket right off the top. Now all of a sudden it starts to grow leaves because now it's in that phase of growth. Now, did you stop the tree from growing? No. And it's just like your business, just like this thing that's you that you're going to implement and put forward after today's episode, because I know you're as energetic as I am, that you're going to get this thing going. It's going to go, and you got to remember to be grateful for the overwhelmingness that will become it, and appreciate what is happening and what it's become, because it's gonna get big, and you got to be appreciative about that, right? And you got to sort of revisit and update, because you're going to get successful, and you're going to get where, I don't, how do I say, it's going to get it's going to get easy, right? And I know that's weird because you're like, well, it's not easy now. It's 18, 20 hours a day, and I'm beating this thing up and I'm making it happen. And I know, but it's going to get easy, because when you do something habitually, you start to, and I don't want to say it wrong, but you're going to cut corners, or you're going to find the flow to it happening faster and it occurring more often. And you're going to start, like I said, you understand the seasons and things are moving and happening. And it's just like you're in this flow and it's going, and you can get slightly complacent by just thinking, oh, it's happening. Or you can get a bit narcissistic that it's happening because of you, right? And it's not. It's back to the tree analogy. It's biology. You set the seed, it's growing, it's nature, it's not going to stop. I mean, unless you throw like some of those, what is it, the Roundup, that crazy chemical that kills everything, including human beings, but they spray it on food. Yeah. Yeah, that's the only thing that's going to kill your business. And quite frankly, if you've worked this hard for something, I don't know that you'd want to put Roundup on your business, right? And stop your tree from growing. But, some people do. But anyway, what I'm saying is this thing's going to grow and it's going to get really big. And don't like start to hang the swing on one of the big strong branches and just be complacent to swing on the tree and be all right. It's functioning just enough for me. No, you want this thing to get big enough for a tree house. And then you want it to be big enough to build a condo. And then you want it to be big enough that you can eventually take this tree. And I know, sad to say, but you're going to cut it and you're going to make strips of wood and you're going to build this gigantic mansion out of the twigs from this tree because it's so big. And I'm talking a big house, right? Big mansion. That, is sort of your ultimate, right? Is that there's this. So you don't want to get complacent and get too ahead of yourself by thinking all of this is kind of because of you. It is because of you in the beginning, but now it's in motion, right? So you need to update your narrative and stay humble and to remind yourself that, what was the beginning like? And that's why I say it through your growth process, you're going to be going back to nuggets of that beginning in little learning curves as you're accelerating and growing and having new and new experiences. And it may be um, somebody that comes to your office and says, hey, we're looking to merge. right? They have the same business as you do. They're not doing so well, but they have the team and they're doing, they're fairly okay, but they want to ride on your shoulders. They want your brand name. They want to, or maybe you want to do it, right? But be humble enough to say, "Wow, I'm really blessed that somebody wants to be part of my situation, or that they welcome me to come in and take over their situation and make it part of our situation. And this is going to like 10x the business in less than a year, where it took several years to 10x it. Now you're doing it in a quarter through a merger. Be blessed with the fact that this activity is happening, and don't get too up on that high horse, the proverbial high horse, if you will, and think that it was all you when it was the people around you, and remain authentic and remain inspirational, because just as you inspired and motivated and kind of can, I don't want to say conditioned, but you kind of trained your team to know about you and how you grew and worked through with them. Well, now you have a whole new group of people that you really have to dial it back and start with them, right? And let them know a little bit of the humble beginnings and a little bit of the stair step that you worked through. And they may be at, like I said, a little different level than your company, which is why they wanted to merge. So now their sales force can be like your sales force, and you're working together. So be humble and inspired, and remember your authentic self, that this is an experience to still do what you love, being your authentic self, and just dial it back and keep it home. And just, again, be humble. Remember what your original goals, keep those things written down so you can share it with them and say, hey, this is where I started. This is where we're at. This is where I would like to go. Here's where the team is at. We need to get you up to speed with what they're doing. Your sales are 6 a year and they're doing 24 a year for each person. So we need to get your 6 to 24. And maybe it's some of that internal consulting, right? With your own group, your own new group now, to say, okay, how do we get them from 6 to 12? So it might be just like kind of remembering a little bit of where you came from. And that's going to be part of your adaptability as well, in kind of rewriting your story, or continue to rewrite your story, because it's you're not going to cast it in stone. I'll tell you that today. I mean, what we write, we invite. You write it down today, and it's going to change in a week or a month or a year. That's why I find myself writing almost every day, and I also spend a good amount. I spend more than a day each year at the reset, which is the winter solstice for me, and I write down, the intentions and goals for the next year of what I want. So I'm certainly rewriting it, if not at least once a year, solidly. But I am kind of honing and crafting like a good craftsmanship at least once a month, just to adapt a little bit, and or to remind myself what I'm doing, where I came from, and where I want to go, and remind me of my why. This new group of people might not know what your why is, and that could be just the energy they need, is knowing your why. Because the first group knows what your why is. Now the new group, they find out what the why is. Now, guess what? That might be the thing that they go to 6 to 24. So rewriting your story is all about continuously shaping the beliefs and the narratives that define you. Remember, that's what all this started from at the beginning, was figuring out you and your passion and what you want to do, and challenging those old assumptions and envisioning the bright future, whether it's the one we don't have, the one we're growing to, and the one we eventually want to get to even more. And again, each time we plateau, we need to be looking for that next new level through taking deliberate action and transforming the way that you see yourself and how you show up in the world. And remember that you, right now, because I know we did the Elon Musk thing where we pretty much went to Mars and back, and you're like, yeah, but I'm still with this idea of what was it? Consulting. Yeah, I'm still there. I didn't get through all of what you just talked about. I see it, but wow. So remember, you hold the pen to your life story, and you can write your life story out, and that will be your future, and that will be what's going to happen. What we write, we invite. So every chapter is an opportunity to grow and succeed. And again, it's on your terms. So be pretty solid to your why, find your passion and what you like to do, and then just start working towards that. Click like or subscribe if you've gained anything from this particular episode, something you enjoyed, or you know a friend that might appreciate what we've shared today, and it might be something that resonates with them. We welcome that as well. If you feel that this has resonated with you on purpose today, certainly reach out at askadamlive.com and let us know that you've enjoyed, or put it in the comments that you've enjoyed this particular episode. And you can also go to the website to reach out to me directly, Adam. And if this is something that has solely resonated, and we pretty much have started the forest fire in your soul, got your chakras going, and you're like, I know what I want to do, and I want this, and you've got it all planned out, but you kind of maybe don't know where to start. That's where the consulting comes in. And that's where I help people live their most authentic and dynamic life. Again, I appreciate that you took a moment out of your day to enjoy what my experience can share. I want you to go out and make it the best day, because each day is a gift, and life is always happening for us, not to us. Now let's go out and make it a great day.